I do not believe that you can learn to scuba dive through the internet. That is not what this channel is about. That is why you don't see me in a swimming pool doing mask and regulator skills demonstration videos. That's not our job here. That is the job of your open water instructor. And in the description of this and every video on my channel, there's a little disclaimer at the bottom that says something along the lines of, we do not believe that you can learn to dive through the internet. Always seek proper training from a recognized agency and from a certified instructor. If you're waiting for the but, there isn't one coming. The reason we started this channel is that once you're a certified diver, where can you turn to for help, hints, tips, and advice? Big J! And we really felt that on YouTube, the world's second biggest search engine, there was definitely a vacuum there. So this Mouthpiece Monday, I'm giving you my top 5 pieces of advice that I offer to all my newly qualified open water students. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Divers Ready. Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see all your smiling faces. My name is James and I'm a professional diving instructor. On this channel, I use my years of passion and expertise to help make you a better diver. So if you love scuba diving as much as I do, jump on that subscribe button down there and click the little bell icon, and that way you'll never miss any of our content. So as I said in my introduction, this video is for you, my newly certified open water diver. Congratulations on passing your open water course. Welcome to the club, welcome to the community. Welcome to the underwater version of a biker gang, however you choose to see us. We're glad you're here. If you're a regular watcher of this channel, you've heard me say in other videos that you cannot become an excellent diver in the 4 or 5 dives it takes to complete an open water course. That is not your instructor's job. Your instructor's job is to teach you the basic skills of scuba diving and make sure that you're not a threat to yourself or other before they put their name on your certification card. So what happens immediately after your open water course? You've shaken the hand of your instructor, maybe given them a hug, you've taken a sick selfie for your Instagram with them, hopefully you've tipped them really well. And unless you learn to dive with your local dive shop, chances are you're probably never going to see your open water instructor again. I mean, unless they spring up on an island in the Caribbean while you're vacationing and surprise you 5 years after doing your open water course. What kind of a lunatic instructor would do that? So let me pick up where they left off and offer you my top 5 tips that I give to all my newly qualified open water students. Tip number 1 is dive, 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 dive to dive, dive, dive. Dive local, keep diving, dive wherever you live. Don't drive past a muddy puddle without wondering what's at the bottom of it. Join your local dive club, go on dive weekends, plan vacations around diving. If you did your open water course and loved the experience, grab onto that with both hands, jump in with both fins and dive as often as you possibly can. Now, if you're thinking, but James, I live in a landlocked place, there's no diving near where I live, I would encourage you to check out the video that I made with Jennifer Idle, the first woman to dive all 50 US states. Because if there's diving in Idaho, chances are there's diving where you live too. And I'm not hating on Idaho. Love your spuds. Tip number 2 is add variety. If and whenever you can, try and switch up your dives. This is something else I firmly believe in, and I've talked about this in other videos as well. Take 2 divers, both of them have 50 dives. One of them has done the same dive 50 times. The other one has done 50 different dives. This diver is way more experienced. Same number of dives, but more variety. And maybe you're thinking, okay, hang on, James, I live in a landlocked place, and yes, we do have a local dive club, and there is a quarry or a lake nearby that I could go diving in, but we've really only got one dive site. Totally fine. Dive that one dive site early in the morning, dive it in the evening, do it as a night dive, dive it in all the different seasons, and when you're ready, try diving it in different equipment configurations. You can still get variety in your diving even if you've only got one site to play with. It doesn't mean doing 50 dives in 50 different places. Variety is the spice of life. And another way you can add spice to your diving is dive with different people. It's fantastic to have a regular dive partner, regular dive buddy, but diving doesn't have to be a monogamous sport. If you dive with new people, particularly people who are more experienced than you are, you're going to pick up tips and tricks along the way through osmosis. And if that doesn't work for you, Encourage your non-diving friends to take up diving. So that's tip number 2, add variety to your dives. My third tip for newly qualified open water divers is don't just do training dives. Now I have to tread carefully here because obviously there are subspecialties within scuba diving that require extra training. That's not my point. My point here is don't look at your training agency's course flow progression chart and they've all got one and they look like this and feel like you're on the bottom rung of a ladder with a mountain to climb, because first, let me tell you, you're not on the bottom rung of the ladder. There's a rung below you, which is all the people who have never tried scuba diving, and you're way ahead of them and you're in our gang now. It is perfectly okay to be an open water diver and do open water level dives, and just go out there and have fun and do fun dives. If you just do training dives and you jump from course to course to course, pretty soon diving is going to start to feel like work. You go on a vacation and instead of actually getting dives in, you're in an air-conditioned classroom instead of actually diving. Now that may sound highly controversial coming from a person who makes their living from selling dive courses. And I'll sell you a dive course. But what I won't do is hard sell you a course. I won't say that you have to go from open water to advanced to rescue back to back to back. Go out there and get some fun dives in between. You see it a lot in the Caribbean and you see it a lot with big commercial dive centers where somebody comes in for their open water course and before they know it, they've signed up for an advanced course and a rescue course back to back to back, which according to training standards, of course you can do. And by the end of their time, they're a rescue diver with 15 training dives under their belt and they haven't seen anything. It's not a race up the ladder. Take your time. Enjoy the ride. Tip number 4, do not be afraid to ask questions. This is such a big point. I should have made it tip number 1. Let's just all agree that these points are in no particular order. Okay, cool. Your open water course hasn't taught you everything there is to know about diving. And the reason I know this is because I'm a professional technical diving instructor and I don't know everything there is to know about diving. What did he say? I can see the scuba headlines tomorrow. Technical diving instructor admits doesn't know everything. Fresh out of your open water course, you're going to need more information to progress as a diver, and the best way to do that is by surrounding yourself with people who have been diving longer than you have. But there's a little tip 4B here, and that is be careful who you ask. Spend 5 minutes in any of the myriad of online scuba forums and you're going to quickly realize that there is this subset of scuba divers that I like to call the armchair lunatic fanatic, who will spend the wee small hours of the morning chewing anybody's ears off who'll read their random posts. Now, some of these people may know what they're talking about, or they may not. Buyer beware. When it comes to getting out there and getting actively involved in your own dive community, you're going to have very strong instincts to separate the good, the bad from the ugly divers, and it's going to be mainly down to attitude. Just remember, if you ask a more experienced diver a question and they are just not helpful or refuse to answer, that says a lot more about them than it does about you. So don't be afraid to ask questions, but just be careful who you ask. And tip number 5, invest in your own gear. Yes, maybe you knew this was coming if you saw my video last week about the first 5 pieces of scuba equipment that a newly qualified diver should invest in, but I sincerely mean it. It is way better to have your own gear. Now, I will make a whole separate video further down the line of own versus rent. I made some of the points in that last video. I'm not saying this from a sales perspective, I'm coming from a place of love. When you're a newly qualified open water diver, the most important thing you can do is gain experience, and experience breeds confidence. If you invest in a quality set of gear, that's going to give you confidence through familiarity from having the same gear with you dive in, dive out. If you rent gear each and every dive, chances are it's going to be different gear, and that's one more thing you need to learn, and it's just adding a stressor that you don't need when you're starting out on your diving path. Now back to point number 2 about variety. Once you've got 50 or 100 dives under your belt and someone suggests, hey, do you want to try a side mount system? Hey, do you want to try a back plate and wing over the jacket that you've been diving? Then at that point, absolutely branch out and add some of that spice back into your diving. But for your first dives and to have your core set of gear set up, it's very, very important that you breed that consistency. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me, click the little bell icon, and that way you'll never miss any of our future content. You now have my top 5 tips for getting you from dive 5 at the end of your open water course to dive 50. We've just started up a new playlist. I'll put a link to it right here that's aimed specifically at beginner divers. And for an added treat, I'll put our link to our Grand Cayman series just down below there. Thank you so much for watching. My name's James. This was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday for this week. Dive safe, dive often. Oh, you're still here? Go diving, go.